What's going on? It's Craig Bennett, aka Cash Cake, here with DFSArmy, and I'm here to do a very early first look into Week 1 NFL on Draftkings. Going to build a little sample lineup. Going to talk about some things. We just got through the first week of preseason. There's only 3 weeks of preseason right now. It's been very profitable over at DFSArmy. We got the projections, cheat sheets. So if you want access to that, you can head on over there, sign up, use promo code preseason, get 50% off your first month's membership. That code's only good until the 18th of August. So again, we're about a month out for Week 1 NFL. I'm so happy it's here. Gonna have a lot of content up on this site for you guys. So if you're really excited to have a lot of content, I'm gonna do break down both DraftKings and FanDuel separately throughout the week. And then we're going to bring some early shows. I'm going to do some early shows, some afternoon shows on both DraftKings and FanDuel. I don't think there's enough content out there for that. They're going to do some showdown stuff. So it's going to be a plethora of content coming out of this channel. So if you want to see that stuff, subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up on this video. Really appreciate it as well. And we'll just keep knocking out content for you. And again, we'll have everything over at DFSArmy. So head on over there and sign up. And hopefully we can help you win some money. But with that, let's dive right into this early Week 1 and just kind of see how things are going to shake out. Things are going to change. We can talk about a little bit and see maybe some situations we can look at and maybe can exploit. So let's just look at it a little bit and see what we got going on. All right, as you can see, I got DraftKings up here. We'll just go position by position, just talk a little bit about pricing, some situations, kind of some things that might be sticking out a little bit. Some situations we don't know what's going on and whatnot. I think the big one here, the big one we got to talk about is actually with Indy. Carson Wentz, had foot surgery. Surprised he is back, kind of in practice, kind of milling around, but he's supposed to be out 5 to 12 weeks. We saw this first, preseason game. We had Jacob Eason come out throwing with Sam Ehlinger throwing that second unit. Ehlinger actually looked better than Eason, I thought. So, it could be one of those situations where we don't have Carson Wentz on Week 1. I don't think we're going to have him. But if we had a situation like this, if we're looking for a dirt cheap quarterback, one thing I love about Sam Ehlinger is his running ability. He did it with the Texas Longhorns. He has no problem running the ball, so scrambling. Again, to get a little extra. Anytime you get a guy that can run with his legs a little bit, I do like it. But he looked a lot better than Eason, and I kind of feel like he's going to take over the depth chart at some point and move into that second behind Carson Wentz. So kind of a guy that I'm, interested in if he does hit to that point. I should go up and go to the Colts preseason practice. It's only 5 minutes from my house where they practice and go check it out and see him in practice. But I just don't think we're going to see Wentz here. So if we're looking on the cheap end of quarterbacks, this Eason and Ehlinger, I don't think I'd want any Eason at 4K if it was him. If it was Ehlinger there at home, it just opens up a ton. And again, things can change a bunch, but it's one thing I just wanted to talk about, being, August 16th, and we have basically a month before the regular season starts, something that we could definitely look at. On the top end, of course, we got Mahomes up there, 8,100, Kyler Murray, 7,600, Josh Allen, 7,400. All these guys can run. I have no problem playing any of these guys, especially we get the value at running back. That could open up with any kind of injuries that we get in situations like that. We can definitely pay it for these guys. Russell Wilson at 7K is probably in that dead man range. People are probably going to go up or go down. Might not see him. Aaron Rodgers going into the new vamped, New Orleans Saints here with no Drew Brees. What are we going to see in that situation? Watson, he's at we don't know what the Texans are going to do with him. So I don't think he's going to be even playing for Houston here. So he is a spot I really wouldn't look at. Herbert, 6,700 against Washington. Just that defense is just too good. I don't want to pay that price for him, so I don't think I'm going to lean there. Tannehill at 6,500. This is a really interesting price range here as well. Jalen Hurts, Tannehill. Cousins, I don't want any part of. Even going up against Cincy, I just don't think he's ever going to be in a winning GPP lineup around that price. Trevor Lawrence is one of those things where I think he's going to struggle a little bit this year, but at the same tune, if they're down a bunch, I want these guys in tournaments that are going to be throwing the ball a bunch, and we're probably going to see that with the Jacksonville Jaguars this year a bunch. So 6,200, though, I don't know if I really want to land on that. Roethlisberger at 6,100 coming here, going to get into Buffalo. I don't really like that. Guys got no mobility at all. Kind of same thing with Matt Ryan, 6K. I need him to sling 4 touchdowns and 400 yards for me to really want to play him. Mayfield going into KC, no thank you. Joe Burrow, I like here at 5,700 though, going to Minnesota. He's back after that injury he had against Washington last year. He's got his old teammate that they drafted this year in Lamar Chase. So it's really interesting to see how that team, I'm pretty excited for Cincy overall, but, having Lamar Chase and T. Higgins and Mixon, all these guys are pretty cheap, and I kind of like all of them here. So really have some love into Joe Burrow here at 5,700, especially if they get down a little bit. I just think he's going to sling the ball a bunch. They were slinging it a bunch last year, and that's a very interesting price point. Fitzmagic, man, 5,500. He's going to be the starting quarterback this year. We all know he's a gunslinger, and he loves to throw the ball. So 5,500, I don't mind that one bit. Cam Newton, how long is he going to be the number one quarterback for New England? Mac Jones looked pretty good in preseason, but his preseason, Tua down here at 5,400 is interesting. Taylor was the number one quarterback for Houston. Again, he's an older guy, but he can still run, those legs a little bit. So 5,300 is pretty interesting in him. I skipped over Garoppolo. Going against Detroit, I think Detroit's going to struggle real bad here, even though they got Goff. They just did not look good that first preseason game. And I just think they're going to still struggle for a while. So, Garoppolo could come out and just start slinging it. We know it's all going to be Lance at some point, I think. But we'll see how the week one starters, who that's going to be. But man, if you watch preseason week one and saw Trey Lance sling that, get an 80-yard touchdown in that first drive that he had was pretty nice. Daniel Jones, 5,300. I think the Giants are going to struggle mightily here. Them not drafting a quarterback, I think they're going to struggle. Going against Denver, I'm not excited about that. And then we're laying down here to Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. Who's going to be the starting quarterback for week one? I think this dictates how I play the other guys so much. If you play Taysom Hill, I tend to not want to really worry about. First of all, if I play Taysom Hill, I'm probably not going to play Kamara, because watching last year, even when Drew Brees is in there, was hurt and Taysom Hill played quarterback, he runs a lot in the red zone, and I think it hurts Kamara's upside a ton. So this situation is going to dictate, how I play the rest of the Saints. Thomas is going to be out a while. He got that late surgery. He wasn't real happy with his team. I think it's going to be kind of a mess in here with New Orleans for a while until they figure things out. But if Jameis Winston is a quarterback, then I like me some Kamara, and then I'll look at some of the pass catchers that they got over there for the Saints, because like I said, it's pretty ugly what they have. Marquez Callaway had a really good first game in preseason. They look to be targeting him a ton. I think he's a guy we can look at. He's super cheap at 3,400, and he might be their number one guy. It's basically him and Traquan, the chef, Traquan Smith, because again, there's no Thomas for a while. So their wide receiver core is pretty bad. They're all really cheap. But again, I have no problem taking Taysom Hill if he starts and pairing him with, Traquan Smith or a Marquez Callaway. But I definitely don't want to put Taysom Hill with Kamara, just because I think Kamara's upside goes way down when Hill's in there, just because of the plays that they run for him and the way he runs the ball. So that's one thing I just want to kind of discuss when it comes to that, depending on who takes over that starting lineup. Jared Goff, 5,100. Like I said, I'm just not too excited about it. I think they're going to struggle hard. Even that first game back in the Dome, I think they're going to struggle real hard. One thing I do like down here, though, this situation here is really interesting. You got Sam Darnold playing his old team, got traded over to the Carolina Panthers, and then they drafted his successor in Zach Wilson here. This is going to be very interesting here. Both these guys, I think, are very much in playing tournaments. It's a really good price point for them. I'm sure Sam Darnold wants to come and just take it to the Jets. And, Zach Wilson, they want to go, show them that, hey, you drafted me for a reason. So really interesting spot here. That's where I kind of learn. And then everything under here, I'm not really going to look at. Like you said, if Trey Lance was a starter week one, hell yeah, I want him at 4,500. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be Garoppolo first. Again, if Mac Jones was starting quarterback, I'd have interest in there. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be Cam. So down here, like I said, the only one you're really looking at that's cheap are these 4K quarterbacks and Ellinger and Eason, if we have no wins. And if Eason starts, I don't want any part of him. But if Ellinger does, I do have some interest in there. I just think he's a better quarterback. But again, 4K each. In your tournaments, I definitely would look at having some. But again, when I look at these guys, what is their true ceiling? I think Ellinger can get there if he throws you, get you 30, 40 yards on the ground, throws a couple touchdowns, I think there's paths for him to get there. But I do like this, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson range here. And then I really like the Burrow stack. I really like the Cincinnati stack all around, honestly. But I'm going to leave Ellinger in this lineup again, just so you kind of fun. It's super early. I'll do first look videos for DraftKings and FanDuel every week. And then I'll knock out the showdowns for both of them each week. And then, we'll talk a little bit about the early and late sweeps. But having this a month out, we'll just have some fun here and just kind of talk about this. So I'm going to put Ellinger in this lineup right here, but I like this 5K range and I like all the way up. I'm not really loving the 6K range. I think I would live in the low 5s to medium 5s or all the way up here. And it depends on the running back value that we get. But again, we're going to leave Sam Ellinger in this particular lineup, but really happens, we really know what's going to go on with Wentz. First running backs. CMC 9,500. I think we can easily get to him if we're going to go Ellinger here. How is he going to mesh with Sam Darnold here? We didn't see these guys in week 1 preseason, but CMC is CMC. Should get a ton of volume here. Man, Chuba Hubbard looked good. Like I said, I really liked him playing college football DFS with Oklahoma State. But man, they got a good one in them guys, man. And so we'll have to see how that situation turns out, because if they don't want to run CMC at 30 touches a game, maybe we see a little bit of split. But first week 1, we can't consider that. We have to consider CMC is going to get all that work. So again, 9,500, no problem there. Dalvin Cook 9,100. I think he's definitely in play here if we're going cheap at quarterback. No problem playing him against Cincinnati. On DraftKings, I don't think I can go Henry here at 8,800. Kamara's going to be the guy, like I said, if we get Winston as the starting quarterback. So I'm going to throw Kamara in this lineup. But again, it all hinges upon that quarterback for me. Once that kind of irons itself out, we'll kind of know a little bit better and know exactly where I would lean on going in that situation. Coming down here, Jonathan Taylor, 8K. They might lean on the run a ton here. But at 8K, they tend to go with a hot hand. And I really have a hard time paying 8K for a running back when, they got Mack still there. Nakeem Hines, they just got a bunch of running backs, and I just don't want to guess which one they're going to go. Barkley 7,800. I don't think he's going to be ready. If he's ready week 1, still don't. I want to see something before I play Barkley, especially when you're playing 7,800. Nick Chubb, we're still going to see, I think, the two-headed monster here with Cleveland with Chubb and Hunt. Hunt's 5,500. Chubb is 7,200 going up against KC. I don't think I have a lot of love for it, but in tournaments, if you want to look that way. Aaron Jones, Swift, don't really like this range too much. Edwards Hilaire, 6,600. Going up against Cleveland, I'm not super excited about that. You said the next guy I want after Kamara is Joe Mixon, man. 6,200. He should get all the work here. I love this price. Going up against Minnesota, sitting at home. He catches balls. I just think when that team is healthy and they can spread it out a little bit with those two stud wide receivers, we could see big games out of Mixon this year. And that is a really good price point for Mixon. So I'm going to put 3 running backs in this lineup. So we're going to start with Kamara and Mixon here as the ones I want. Coming around a little bit more, we could talk about Najee Harris, 6,300. I don't think this is the game to play him against Buffalo. But Najee Harris is going to be Pittsburgh's number 1 the starting running back. He's a stud. He was a stud in Bama. Hopefully they're going to run the ball a little bit more this year and not pass a ton. They struggled with Connor, last year running the ball. So I think if they still go back to running the ball, there's going to be certain matchups that I want him in. On the road, 6,300, not super excited about him, but, in tournaments you can look at him. Mike Davis here in Atlanta, 5,400 is kind of interesting. I don't mind looking there. Carson's interesting. So if we think Indy's going to struggle a little bit and they're going to be behind, maybe Chris Carson's, going to lead the charge here and running the ball. So he's the kind of guy I don't mind if you see that game script kind of going that way. Then 5,900 is pretty decent for him. I don't mind looking that way. Like I said, Aaron Jones, 6,800. I don't mind that as well. But I don't really like that price range. I kind of like to go, down here in the cheap range, or kind of go up to Kamara or CMC. And I think we could easily fit CMC in this lineup. Let's just put him in there and see the builds, because I think there's enough cheap wide receivers and tight ends. You can actually make this work. But still going down to running backs, coming down here, Etienne, I don't think we're going to see him too much early in the season, probably a little bit later. Any other cheap guys down here? Chase Edmonds would be interesting. He's 4,600 for Arizona. They got a plethora of weapons now on that team. It's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun in Arizona. With Murray behind there, we got Nuke, new AJ Green coming over, and Rondell Moore. Man, I have such a man crush on him. Working out of the slot, that team is going to be super dangerous. So maybe that opens up a few running lanes for Edmonds here for Arizona. So it's kind of guy that we can look at. They brought in James Conner as well, so we'll have to see how that shifts out. I don't like playing those guys in cash games because you just never know what they're going to do, especially when you have a running quarterback. It's going to kind of take over that situation. But something that we can definitely look at. But again, I think if I had to rank them right now, if I'm playing a cheap quarterback, and again, there's going to be more injuries here, and we'll have to figure out what is going on. But I think it's easily you're able to fit in CMC, Kamara, Mixon, if you run a 4K quarterback here, in Ellinger or Eason or something like that. Again, this is all for fun. We don't know. I'll have another video once we get probably a week out right after preseason, and we kind of know what's going on, what the injuries that did happen, and things kind of solidify, and they get that down the 53-man roster. So we're going to run with this. We'll talk more about running backs, but I don't see any super cheap running backs. I say Mixon is probably my favorite as of right now with the situation. Now we got like 43.40 to fit in some stuff going on here. So let's look at wide receivers real quick. The top end, we got Adams, 8,300. We know Rodgers is going to play. We know he's his number one guy. They did bring Randall Cobb over, so he makes an interesting tournament play. That was definitely an Aaron Rodgers. Hey, I want Cobb here. I think he'll do decent this year, and he's pretty cheap. So I want to say, what is Cobb's price week one here? Yeah, 3,900. But him bringing him over, I would have to say that probably, Adams and Cobb are going to get a lot of work. He wanted him for a reason. Up here at the top, Tyreek Hill's always going to be in play, 8,200. It's one of those things where it's a great one-off. Like if you're running a stack, and say you wanted to run, a Cleveland stack and then bring it back with Hill, or just Hill as just a one-off and not part of your stacks. He's got very few wide receivers have the ceiling that this guy has. Calvin Ridley here over for Atlanta. Julio Jones just shipped out. He's over at Tennessee now, so he is the man. Ridley, they drafted Pitts, their stud tight end. He's probably going to be basically their number 2 wide receiver. And what makes things interesting here with Atlanta that I like is I think Gage at 5,300 is going to be good this year. I think a lot of these defenses are going to gravitate those defenses towards, going up against Ridley and take him away, or Pitts, and maybe this opens up a ton more targets for Gage. It makes him more interesting. So I do like that situation a lot. Nuke, Jefferson, Diggs, all these guys are definitely in play. In this particular lineup, though, it's not where I would, probably end up being at, but all those guys are target monsters. DK Metcalf, no problem playing him, 7,500, got monster upside as well. AJ Brown, 7,100. When you have Julio Jones and AJ Brown around the same price, I wouldn't play them together at that price. I'd probably create a rule and limit it to one. At that price, if you stacked it with their quarterback, it's going to be kind of rough. Thielen's always a good bring back for Cincinnati. If you think Cincinnati gets up, no problem playing Thielen. Keenan Allen, no problem there. But I think in this particular lineup, doing Ellinger, I probably, we're going to be in this cheaper wide receiver set. Actually, let me see something here. I want to do like a full onslaught stack. I want to do like a Joe Burrow with Mixon. And I want to throw in, Jamar Chase in here and see what it kind of looks like. So we're like 3,800 left. You could still do it, but if you're going to do Burrow, Mixon, and Chase, I'd want to bring it back with someone on the Minnesota side to do it this way. But even if you don't do that, like I said, even if you're just going a cheap quarterback and we want to play Ellinger, you know, I do like Chase. I do like T. Higgins. They're around the same price, 4,700. I think you can play them together. I said in those stacks that you're playing with Joe Burrow. Even if you don't want to play Mixon, if you want to go Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, I think is a very good situation to look at. Yeah, just a ton of value at wide receiver here. I just don't think you need to spend up at all. You know, other value we can look at is for the Jets. We can look at you know, playing more. He's min price 3K. Makes for a very interesting, you know, complete min price play. Jalen Waddle for Miami, 3,600. You know, he should get a lot of looks here, and that's just way too cheap for him going up against the Pats. I kind of like that in a situation where that game could be ugly, but he should get quite a bit of looks. And a guy that I just like in that price point. So lots of ways to go here at wide receiver. I think I'm going to throw Waddle in this lineup just because he's so cheap and we're going pretty heavy at running back situation. Leaves us 4,400 left. I'm not going to fill out this last wide receiver. We'll fill out tight end and defense, and we'll leave the last wide receiver. But, you know, down in this mid-range here, DJ Moore, you know, if you're going to pack Sam Darnold to DJ Moore, I really like that. That's definitely a way to go. Marvin Jones is another guy that's way too cheap as well. Looked really good connection with, my God, I just brain fart here. With Trevor Lawrence. So if we're going to go cheap as well, I don't mind going Marvin Jones in this lineup here. And you got three relatively cheap wide receivers that could do some work here. So, you know, two rookies in Marvin Jones, and you still have enough money here to spend up. So let's just throw these three in here for now. Again, lots of wide receivers. We'll have to see how things pan out before, you know, we go really deep into this. But these are some of the cheap guys that I'm looking at. Tight end, I think we're going two ways. I think the chalk for tight end is definitely going to be Kyle Pitts. He's 4,400, which he will probably be a 6 or 7K guy by week 3 or 4, I would assume. That's super cheap. He's probably going to be super popular. You know, I think other guys are going to be popular down here. I'll throw them in this lineup. I think other guys are going to be popular down here. You're going to see Trotman with the Saints because they're just hurting so bad at wide receiver. So, you know, he could get a lot of looks. You can always go up there and play Kelsey. You know, you can always smash Kittle at 6,300. That's a little too cheap for him. Don't mind looking at him here. Gesicki, man, I tell you what, Tua was looking through Gesicki a ton. I think he's always got upset at 4,500. And this actually might be the pivot off of the chalkier Kyle Pitts. You know, if you can get Gesicki at 4,500, makes a very, very interesting case to play him here. So I'm going to mess around with this a little bit more. I'm going to take Ellinger out. I'm curious if we do, if we come over here and build us, say Winston is a quarterback here. And then I'm like, okay, I'm okay with him and Kamara because I think they can still correlate well. You know, maybe he can get, you know, he'll look to him as a security blanket. And again, Winston, I ain't worried about him trying to steal those tutties at all. So, but I want a partner to pair up with Winston and a stack here, and maybe to bring it back with someone from Green Bay. So, a situation that we can kind of look at here. Maybe you want to get off this Chase, and then we want to get down. And I said, one of the things that both guys in camp and in week 1 that they were honing in on with no Thomas out there is these guys were really looking for Callaway. So I have no problem playing him at 3,400. Super cheap. If we want to bring back something on Green Bay, like in tournaments or something like that, there's a lot of ways that we can make that happen as well. Maybe you want to bring back and say you want. Maybe you want to bring back an Adams, or you know, we want to go the running back and bring back you know, Aaron Jones at 6,800. Maybe you don't want to go Nixon, or maybe you said, well, let's get, I think CMC is too expensive. I don't want to run him out there. I'd like to bring it back with a running back and just run Aaron Jones out here. And then I'm like, well, I don't think Waddle's going to be out there. Let's bring it back with a different wide receiver here. To correlate this lineup a little bit. Maybe we have Thielen here, and then we're sitting at 4,800 for a defense or something like that. Or spend all the way up to tight end. There's just a bunch of ways to go. These wide receivers kind of open things up a lot. But again, at tight end, I really think you're going all the way up to Kelsey or Kittle, or you're landing in this Pitts range. Is probably going to be the cash quarterback, or the cash tight end week 1. I just don't see how people get away from him. But Gesicki makes a very interesting play at tight end at that same price. Or if you want to completely punt it, like I said, Trotman is a guy that is 2,900, I believe. That makes an interesting case. But there's a lot of ways to go there. Again, defense, I tend to punt defenses on both sides if I can, unless it's just a nut matchup. I think the defenses that we can look at in this lineup, you can play any defense that you want. We have plenty of salaries, but Buffalo at home, 2,500. Yes, they're going up against Pittsburgh, but they are at home. I don't mind looking at them a little bit. I also like taking defenses against rookie quarterbacks. So maybe we'll look at Carolina going up against Jets. They're 3,600. That makes an interesting case. They are at home. Having a rookie, come in and try to play. That's a interesting case there as well. So yeah, that's kind of how I see things on week 1. Again, this is very, 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 very early. Things will change. But I kind of like this 5K 5,700. If we get a cheap Indianapolis quarterback, that's kind of where I see things. Again, I hope that helps a little bit. It's just kind of fun. Again, things will change a little bit. It's just exciting to have NFL back, man. And if you want some preseason action, again, head on over to DFSArmy and sign up. Use that promo code. Only got a couple more days on it to save 50% off that first month, and then 10% after that. Use promo code preseason. Everything's linked in below the description. Hit that and hit that thumbs up button before you head on out. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep punching out content all year. Hopefully help win you guys some money. And join us over in our Discord channel, man. It's a lot of fun. And love to top shop with you. So with that, I'll see you on the flip side. Deuces.